Hey, welcome back, Rise Up Nation. I've got a return visitor, like family, back to the show today. You're going to be excited to hear what we're having to talk about today because it's going to be a little bit off the beaten path. We're in the middle of season 4. We've been talking to agents about what works and what doesn't, but as true to form, I always talk to guests before we go on the air and find out how they're doing, what's going on. And I think there's just a different path to take today with our guest. Miss Lori White. Lori, welcome back to the show. Thank you for always being willing to help us out, and we're excited to talk today. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I always love to come on and help out.
Yeah, you every time I ask for, hey, who wants to tell their story, you're one of the first. You might have been the first that said I'm in. And I'd be remiss if I didn't remind everyone, Lori is a return guest. She was in either season 1 or 2. I don't remember, probably season 1, maybe the first or second episode. You and Jeremy were right out of the box, but she told the incredibly funny story about, although it wasn't funny at the time, about accidentally carrying a gun through trying to carry a gun through security at the airport by accident, of course. And that whole how that affected business and life. Remember that, Lori? I mean, that was, we laugh like now. We said we would laugh about it one day, but you didn't believe us at first.
Yeah, I thought my life was over at first. I really did, but now every time I fly, I just laugh when I go through I mean, I have TSA pre-check again, and I go walking through, going, "Yep, no guns on me."
I wonder how many people that know you like me, because almost every time Mandy and I go through the airport, we see that sign that says "Don't try this," and I'm like, "Well, Lori tried it," you know. And I mean, I don't know. There's probably clients of yours and friends and family that it just is now a conversation piece. But man, that
It is.
what a scary moment. I can't even imagine. I tell people that story now, and they're like, "What? How many years
Uh,
ago was that now? 3 or 4?"
I think no, it's more than three because I had to wait 3 years to be event free to get my TSA pre-check. I think we're coming up on 5 or 6 years.
Wow. And they call it event free. You have to be event free.
Yeah, like no incidents, incident free. Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
a nice way of putting it. Don't ever try this again. That's what that
Yeah,
means.
don't bring a gun to the airport. That's my if the biggest advice I have and take away at the end of the day is don't bring a gun to the airport, especially one with a full magazine in the
Yeah.
in the gun.
No,
Yeah,
no, on purpose nor not on purpose. Don't even try it. It
correct.
doesn't they're not going to say, "Oh, it was just an accident. I'm going to let Lori go." That doesn't
Yeah,
happen.
no. And a little
Um
side note, they don't let you take a book into your jail cell when you're in jail. Just want to tell you, it's pretty boring.
no, you can't. Well, you could write, you need to get a piece of paper and a pen and write your own book after you've been through what you've been through.
No pens, no nothing. Apparently, I might paper cut myself to death in there. So no pens, no paper, no coloring books, no books, nothing.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I remember that phone call from Bill. He's like, "You won't believe this," and I was like, "What happened?" But we were just chatting a little bit, Lori, a few minutes ago, and you got the listeners should know Lori and I are very good friends. We work together. She's a very productive real estate agent. She's been a realtor for a lot of years. She works at our company, full disclosure. But we're more than that. Like we're friends, and I've kind of we've developed a friendship over the years, and um, I was good friends with your late husband, Bill, and we were just talking before the show. We're coming up on about 2 years, right, of his passing.
Yep. Thursday, the 25th will be 2 years since he passed. Yep.
Yeah, I don't. That's right. I don't know when this will air, but this is January, it's third week of January. So the 25th of January will be the 2 years since he's passed. And we were just talking a little bit, and I bet some of our listeners can relate to this, how life events such as that, and maybe not that grand, or maybe more grand than that, how it affects business. People say personal business don't really relate, but they certainly do, don't they, Lori? Like it
Absolutely.
changed the whole landscape for you. And I think if we talk about that a little bit today, whatever you're comfortable sharing about your
Hmm.
experience since then, we would love to know. But tell me, like you're now 2 years past that, and I know you
Hmm.
and I've talked a little bit about your business. You're recognizing that some things have changed for you and in
Hmm.
you in business. Let's talk about that for a minute. What's the major changes, or what made you realize, hey, this is different for me now?
It's funny because for the past 2 years, in addition to losing my husband, my grandson was a year old. He's going to be 3 years old 2 days after Bill's passing. I have another grandchild, and so many things changed besides Bill being sick and then ultimately dying. He was sick prior to COVID, but COVID kind of came in and really molded the rest of his life and my life up to this day. And some of the other agents and I were just at lunch talking about how COVID really reshaped the world in so many ways that it's difficult to go back to the way things were, because the way things were aren't attainable anymore necessarily. And what I mean by that is when you are living with a very sick spouse who cannot be exposed to any kind of illness because it could kill him, we were housebound. And so, you know, we all learned how to work in the home all the time, and that was fine. And I was still able to stay in touch with my clients. I couldn't see them, but nobody could see their clients. So at that point, I wasn't really that different than anybody else. We were all having the same issues. And my business is and has been different than many other people's business. I'm very relationship oriented. I love my clients like family. In fact, I'm meeting some of my clients tomorrow for happy hour. Just people that are local or not local. If they're not local, when they come into town, we go see each other, and when they are local, we get together. And my business has grown from that, either from repeat business from those folks or from referrals from those folks. These people I'm meeting tomorrow have referred me 3 clients, all of whom have purchased here. So my business was very social, I guess you could say. It was very close to my heart. I am not the person that makes phone calls. I don't cold call. I've never had to do that. I've always just had my sphere. I'm not that person that time blocks. I'm not that person that writes down every day what my goal is. In fact, I hear that word goal. Goal is a 4-letter word, you know, in every sense of it is.
Right, right. So
Um,
you've been this way even pre-COVID. This is just who you are, what you're about, right? I mean, it's
right,
been relationships. As we've talked about goal
right.
setting, we talked about time blocking like for years, and
Hmm.
you've tried those things, but it just
Hmm.
does not your wheelhouse. So you were not doing those things before COVID. So then COVID really affects you and your business because
Right.
you're a relationship person, like 100%.
Exactly, exactly. So, you know, I would stop and see people, and you couldn't do that anymore. And I would still keep up with the phone calls and things of that nature. But then when COVID stopped, and well, then I guess it never stopped, but when the restrictions lightened up and life came back to the new normal, um, I didn't pick up seeing those people and staying as connected with those people as I had been. There's certain ones that I do see, but the ones that I don't see all the time, I wasn't making those calls and making those connections like I had been prior to COVID. And I can't pinpoint why, other than I picked up a really bad habit. Um, and and I still sort of flew by the seat of my pants. As I said, I mean, I guess that's probably not fair to say that. I didn't fly by the seat of my pants. You know, I'm always there for my clients. My clients know that. But I wasn't getting as much business as time went on. And I had a great year last year, but it all happened prior to fourth quarter. And so I came into fourth quarter and I'm going, this pipeline is looking pretty thin.
Right.
And it occurred to me that, you know, I need to change some of the things that I'm doing. This whole few years of mine totally upset the apple cart to the point that I stopped exercising. I gained back all of the weight that I had lost. I stopped doing things I loved. And anybody that knew me before knew that I was an avid football fan. I watched my first football game the other day in 2 years. I didn't know who was in the playoffs. I didn't know anything. I just did, which was so, oh, Ted, you know, you're always making fun of me, me and my Tom Brady. I stopped. And then something else that I always did that I loved was I was an avid reader. I would read every night in bed. I had a routine, and Bill passed away and I stopped. Even, even the, even the self-help books, even the books that you just read for fun, I just stopped. And I, I didn't really notice it until in the past several weeks. I'm like, you know, I've got to take my life back. My life has
Right.
sort of just gotten off track, and I need to take it back. And that is what I'm doing, one step at a time.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute, Lori. And I appreciate you being so transparent. Like, it's not easy to say some of the things you said. And let's be honest, we've all been through a lot. Everybody has, but you've really been through a lot. And you would have every excuse to just say, hey, um, this is who I am now, and this is the new me, and I'm just going to withdraw, retire, quit, whatever. But I love it. I love you saying you're going to take your life back. Tell me though, and I'm writing notes because I learn from you guys every time I do this. And people ask me why I do this podcast. This is why, because I learn every single time I interview someone. What was it that made you, maybe it wasn't one thing, maybe it was a group of things, but what made you go, oh, wow, I have been kind of off kilter for a while? Was it when you looked at fourth quarter and there was no pipeline and then you went, what in the world caused that? Or how you felt, or what was it?
It probably started with me looking at my naked pipeline, going, wait a minute, this is not right. This is not me. I mean, you know me, I keep my old-fashioned spreadsheet. Jeremy makes fun of me all the time, but he keeps one too. And I have one for every year since the first year, since 2009. I have every closing I've ever done is on this spreadsheet, what the property address was, when the whole 9 yards. And my volume, like I said, my volume was good. I had a great year, but it all happened prior to fourth quarter, and even probably as far back as early third quarter. And then it was kind of like dribs and drabs. I had a good pipeline, but they all closed. And then it's all of a sudden I got a little panicky, thinking, I like the lifestyle I have adapted to in some senses. I bought a place in Atlanta where my daughter and son-in-law and my grandkids live, and I see them. It's a second home, and I try to go see them once a month. That is a big part of my why. And if I'm not making money, I can't keep that place, and I can't go see my kids. So um, that was the start of me thinking I've got to be more intentional. That, and I'm gonna turn a big number in 2 weeks. It begins with a 6, and I don't want to be the person I am at 60. I don't want to be overweight. I don't want to be unhealthy. I have rheumatoid arthritis. I don't want to hurt. And obviously the weight and the way I eat makes it hurt worse. Um, just a lot of things came into light that they ain't gonna change if I don't change them. No one else is gonna do it. It has to be me.
Yeah. And the cool thing is you've done it before, and you've
Hmm.
got, but the courage that you have to say, I'm going to take my life back. And you're saying it right here in front of a lot of people. Like I love that even more. That this is
Yeah.
like a silent kind of accountability that you're speaking up and everybody's listening. But I just had someone right before I called you. I was on the phone. I was a few minutes late for you because I was on the phone with someone, and they said to me they had just gone back to a trainer, and the trainer told them all the whatabouts about after they did the
Hmm.
measuring of him. And he looked at the trainer and he goes, I'm better than all of that. I genuinely am better than all of that. And that belief, we talked about this in Max Chat a couple of weeks ago. That belief is what will drive you. And I love that you have a why. Like Simon Sinek wrote a book about it, but from
Hmm.
how you just described it, and as I watched you take care of Bill, I mean, like literally like an angel would have. And then
Yeah.
I watched him pass away. I mean, you think everybody would have done it that way, but not everybody would have done it that way, Lori. And then your grandson, I mean, it just all happened so beautifully. You got a condo now or townhouse down in Atlanta, and you have a reason to take your life back.
Hmm.
Isn't it odd though? Like you guys won't talk numbers, but let's just say a very comfortable six-figure living that this person does in real estate every single
Hmm.
year. And you looked at your business, and it wasn't anything to frown at. But what I want people to recognize is you looked at your pipeline. It wasn't
Hmm.
what you had done. Like, let me just be honest, in 2023, most people had a pretty good first three quarters and a crappy fourth quarter. But
Hmm.
you were recognizing a deficiency in your pipeline.
Hmm.
That's not a characteristic that someone that's relationship based normally has an
Right.
idea about. Isn't that interesting about you? Like
Hmm.
relationship and spreadsheet. That's a weird combo.
I know. And I was so glad that I created that sheet. I've shared it with so many agents too. I mean, even though we have all the technology to print reports of this or that type, that nature, this has the info that you want it to have, and reports that you get generated from a system don't do that. So I can track where all my leads came from, everything. But the interesting thing about the whole topic to me is that it's all related, even though it's not related. So the fact that I don't get out of bed in the morning and exercise sets my day up differently than when I did get up and exercise. Um, Going to bed earlier made me get up earlier. Well, I go to bed later than way later than I should. I need 8. I need 8 hours. I can't go to bed at midnight and get up at 6. That just the quick math there. That's not 8 hours.
That math doesn't work, Lori, does it
That
for
math
you?
doesn't work. And what's sadder is, so when COVID hit and Bill couldn't go, for those of you that don't know me, my husband had severe end stage COPD, emphysema, and he was so diligent. He doesn't know how much he motivates me even to this day. He's been gone 2 years, and he still motivates me. You see things differently after the fact, obviously, but he went to pulmonary rehab every day, no matter how bad he felt, and no matter how much he didn't want to go, he went. Well, when COVID hit, pulmonary rehab had to shut down. So we bought commercial grade equipment and put it in our house, and I still have it. And I'd have to dust it because I have not gotten on it. I have zero excuse, zero. I have everything I need right there. Um, and it just occurred to me that if I don't start making changes one at a time, I'm just going to keep going down, down, down that spiral in the wrong direction. And so that's when I decided I got to take my life back. And I, like you said, I'm a seasoned agent. I've been in the business since 1983. I was a real estate paralegal for my whole first part of my life, and did a couple of things, but I've been selling real estate, which is what I always wanted to do, and I don't ever want to do anything else since 2009. So this is a very odd place that I'm in as a seasoned agent, to
Well,
be in a place where, yeah.
it is an odd place, but I bet it's not unlike a lot of people. I mean, I think a lot of people get where
Right.
you are and they just quit. I mean, let's be honest. They just
Mm,
say, I've done this enough. and you have every right and every reason to do that. If you wanted to, there'd be nothing wrong with that, except you may not
mm-mm.
be able to see your grandkid or pay for your condos, townhome as much as you
Grandkids, I
wanted.
got 2
Two
grandkids.
now. That's right. You got
Yeah,
two.
yeah,
Wow, that's crazy. And I
yep.
told someone this. I don't know if I told you this, but I really believe that when Bill was alive, you were his angel. And I've heard you say, and you just said it again. Now that he's gone, I think he's yours because he's
Yep.
motivating you every day. And remember the story you told me about cabinets? He wanted, like, you
Yes.
guys wanted some cabinets in the laundry room, and I said, hey, I'll be happy to come over and help. I don't know
Yep.
anything about cabinets, but I can lift something. And you were like, what did you tell me? Do you remember?
Yeah. He's going to do it himself. He doesn't want any help. He has to do it himself.
I mean,
Yep.
here's a guy that could hardly walk to the bathroom, right, without being winded. He couldn't
Hmm.
get out of bed half the time, but he built those freaking cabinets, didn't he?
He did. And he built me an arbor in the backyard. That was the last thing he did. He put together a Murphy bed. If you've ever seen a Murphy bed, it comes in about 8 billion pieces and weighs 7 million pounds. And he did almost all that by himself. He had to finish it with my son-in-law because he couldn't lift it by himself. No, I mean, even if he were Superman, he couldn't have lifted it by himself.
Right,
And so he was bound and determined to do things by himself, um, because he was afraid if he didn't, it would just lead one more step closer to the end. So
right.
I'm not in that situation, but look what he did. Look what he could do.
Yeah.
Um, and I have another why. I have another daughter also, and she's
Hmm.
here, and she lives close to me, and we're also very close. And I need to be here for her. She loves to travel. I love to travel, and so hopefully we're gonna do some trips together. Me and my older daughter went on a trip a couple weeks ago. Um, and they both are such amazing women, and they both inspire me so much with how driven they are in their own way. Totally different people, but so driven. um, my older daughter just gave up her career to become a realtor in Atlanta, and she is killing it, and I couldn't be more proud. And my younger daughter sells timeshare locally, and she is a force to be reckoned with. That's all I can tell you. She just is amazing. So I take a lot of inspiration from them also, and they encourage me to get back to where I was. They don't try to shame me or point out the fact that you were doing this before and now you don't, or you were this thin and now you're not. And um so like I said, I'm just I'm going to take my life back, but it has to be one step at a time. And for anybody who's listening, the reason I wanted to do this was I'm not the only one out there that has this going on. And whether you're transparent about it or not, you may be beating yourself up about it. And that's why I just kind of wanted to let people know, whether you're a seasoned agent or you're a struggling new agent, whatever it is, you got to just stop and take a breath and take your life back one piece at a time. That whole elephant thing, right? How
Right,
to eat an
right.
elephant. Yeah.
And yeah, one bite at a time. Don't
Right.
forget part of the reason your daughters are driven and successful. I mean, there's nothing more driven than for someone who's getting ready to celebrate their 29th birthday to say, like you are, to say, I want to take my life back. That's inspirational in itself. It's motivational. They have watched that from their mom their whole life, and no wonder they're successful. I should probably have them on the show one day. I'll have them both on with you, and then we could do a family interview. That would be fun because I know you just ooze when you talk about your grandkids and your daughters, and I know your husband is super proud as well. So
Yeah.
what a great story. And I appreciate you being open, but I want to talk about what is it that you say take your life back. And that is, I mean, maybe that's the title of your book when you write it. I don't know, but what are the steps to doing that? Like you've recognized it, which I want everybody in the audience to realize that is step number one. I told someone the other day, the market in 2024 is going to be pretty good, but you better
Mhm.
choose to participate in it. Because if your head's not right and you're not actively in
Yep.
it, you will not benefit from what's getting ready to happen. But you're saying, I'm going to take my life back and I'm going to get back in it.
Mhm.
What are the things, maybe you can help us with, what are some of the things that are for you going to get you
Mhm.
back in the swing of things, you think?
I mean, some things are as silly as getting back into reading for fun, or
Okay.
reading
Okay.
self-help, but just as simple as opening up my Kindle. So simple, so easy. Why didn't I do it before? I don't know. Doesn't matter why I didn't do it before, because focusing on why I didn't do it is not going to help me move forward to do it. Um, my older daughter and I went on a cruise week before last, and I brought that Kindle and I said, "Gosh darn it, I'm going to open that Kindle and I'm going to read." And I read every day that I could when we were on the ship, and it was wonderful. I loved it. I thought, all right, this is good. I got one thing done. I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to go on to the next thing. Um, as far as business wise, um, I rejoined our accountability group. I stepped out of it at the end of in fourth quarter because I wasn't doing anything I said I was going to do, and um, I didn't feel like anybody was holding me accountable. And I don't know if that's because maybe they thought I was too fragile, or I don't know what. But in any event, I rejoined, and I want to be held accountable. I want to be not necessarily punished if I don't do what I say I'm going to do, but I want there to be somebody that's holding my feet to the fire. And Jeremy actually pumped up and said, I'm gonna reach out to you every single day to make sure that you're doing it." I couldn't believe it. And he texted me this morning and said, "All right," this afternoon actually, and he said, I wanted to give you a little time to kind of go through your game plan of the things you're going to commit to this week. And I didn't commit to, I'm going to time block and I'm going to do this and I'm going to call 30,000 people and I'm going to, my commitment was to do 2 letters a day and some social media posts the way that we were talking about doing them. That's all I committed to business wise, because if I commit to doing all those other things and reading and going to bed early and trying to lose weight and eating the right foods, I'm going to do none of it. Nobody's going to do any of it if you stack it up that way. So, very small bites, very small pieces, very small successes, very small wins will lead to the next set of small wins. That'll lead to a bigger set of small wins. And then I'm going to get to where I need to be with my business, because I can't fail. That's all there is to it. I have to do it.
Right. Now, I did a video a few weeks ago about the entrepreneur's mantra. I probably didn't send it to you, but maybe I did. It talks about how that to me mean it's something that is unacceptable for my business to do less than this
Hmm.
because of what it drives in your life. And that's exactly what you're talking about. Like
Hmm.
you can do less, but you have to take some of these things away that you've chosen are your abundance, right? We call it abundant
Hmm.
life. Those things,
Hmm.
your travel, your time with your grandkids, your time in Atlanta, all those things are vital to you and you're going to
Hmm.
work to get there. Did you just say you wrote some letters? Are you writing letters? Tell me more about that. I don't know that I've known a Lori. I don't even know if I've ever seen your handwriting, to be honest. Tell me about this letter writing.
Okay, well, I'm not writing them because
Okay. Okay.
my hands don't work that well.
Okay.
Um, Jeremy had given me an idea yesterday about something that we have in our quiver and on Max apps.
Uh-huh.
A letter, a form. It's a form that I have tweaked to sound like I really wrote it instead of a
Right.
form
Cool. Yeah.
that I'm sending out to people. Um, with regard to the market and return on their investments of what they've purchased over time. Just going through my own database of my own clients, of the people who know, love, and trust me. And that's where I'm starting. And then it'll be followed with phone calls and things like that. And then keeping track of who gets what when. And that's going to be one of the things that I work on this year, is to make sure I keep that up uh, steadily. And when all the letters go out, I'll go on to the next phase of whatever that contact is going to be. I haven't figured it out yet, because I'm just gonna focus on the small thing I'm doing now.
Yeah. And that's pretty wise what you just said. And I didn't miss that. Like, you do the little things. I mean, this is the compound effect in human terms, in layman's terms. You do the
Mhm.
simple things. I hope that people are watching this video on YouTube when I share it there, because when you said, when you were talking about the little things, and when you said, I read on the cruise, and you were like, oh, your face lit up. It was like you remembered what it felt like to be in your old routine.
Mhm.
There's something to that. Like, it was like a flashback to a time that's long past that you enjoyed being
Mhm.
a part of. Is that true? Did I see that right?
Mhm. Yep.
And
Yep.
it
I
led you to do other things too. It led you to have more confidence to do other things. Is that right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So now
Yeah.
you can build on it. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
I
off.
was gonna, I'm making some other changes in my life too. As you go through, sometimes you do things um, you realize may not have been the right choice, or whatever that might be.
Hmm.
You can't just bury your head in the sand and just live with the choice that you made. You can make another choice to fix it. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm working on some things with that. Um, just loving on my dogs. Dealing with my dad. My dad very unexpectedly had to go into assisted living at the end of last year. He was buying a house and selling his condo, and about 10 to 14 days before the sale was supposed to happen, he couldn't go forward with the purchase and had to go into assisted living. So talk about just a hair bit of stress. Um, so we found him a place, and he hadn't packed his place at all. I had to pack his place in like 3 days or 4 days and get that done. And so a lot of this led to why I didn't do a whole lot of work last quarter.
Yeah.
Um, that was just one of many things that happened.
I mean, everybody that's listening is like, okay, if you had to go through one of the things that Lori has gone through, it's a lot. But if you add them all together, I had forgotten all about your dad. I wasn't even thinking that, but you shared that with me, and
Right.
I know the history and the way that relationship has unfolded over the years, and for you to step up and do all of that, no wonder you're where you are. But what I love is you're a fighter. You're gonna get it done. You're gonna make the changes. Like, there's no, I don't know, maybe it's because you're from Massachusetts, and that's just how y'all do, is I'm not gonna quit. Maybe that's the I'm by the way, we haven't talked about Bill Belichick. Like, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick are both gone
Who?
from the Patriots. Yeah,
Who?
well, I knew that was gonna happen. I knew that was gonna happen. You probably don't even know.
No, I do know.
I was hoping he'd end up with the Carolina Panthers, because maybe they'd win more than one game a year if they got him. But good
Mm.
grief. You think he would enjoy coaching our friend Cam Newton back in the day? No, I'm just kidding. Remember, you and I love Cam Newton.
Yeah, he did coach Cam Newton.
Oh, he
Cam Newton
did?
played for the Patriots for one season in 2020.
I remember that now. See, there's a football girl right there. She knows a lot of things about her Patriots. Maybe we're gonna learn some
I
more.
have to come clean. I was looking up Cam Newton yesterday because I was wondering if he was playing anywhere, and that's when I saw. I remembered he went to the Patriots. I can't take credit for remembering.
Well, I was gonna let you have that. So
No, no.
here you are. You're making all these small, measurable changes. It's neat that your
Mhm.
friends are rallying around you. I hope the listeners are catching this because it's important to note, in my opinion, that I'm sure, Lori, there have been some dark days, I
Mhm,
would guess, in the last 4 months. Let's just say when you
mhm.
looked at those numbers and you were like, or you looked at your pipeline and you're going through that stuff with your dad and whatever else personal, there have been some times you wanted to quit. Is that true?
No, never.
No?
Nope,
Awesome. You knew
nope.
you were going to pull yourself out of it. You knew it.
Yep. The day that I want to quit is going to be a very dark day because I don't quit.
I love that. And where does that
I
come
don't
from?
quit.
That come from mom and dad?
No, no, no.
No? Okay.
It probably comes from being with Bill. Bill and I were together for 42 years, married almost 38. And he had that, you just do it. If you're going to take your time to do anything, you better do it right and
Right.
don't ever give up until it's done. And so I love a challenge. When I was a paralegal, when we would get a title in that had title problems, oh my gosh, they would just give it to me because I loved it. I love solving that problem. And I could have been a detective in another life. I don't know, but I flourish in that sort of in that sort of an environment. My dad even said to me, "How did how did you how did you get all this done in such a short period of time?" I mean, he was moved in, had furniture, his clothes were packed and sorted through, and like all in the course of 3 weeks. It was the craziest thing. I don't know how it happened. Um, and I just when there's a challenge, I like a challenge. And I will say one other thing. There is a huge, huge benefit to being in a company, no matter what your job is, whether you're a realtor or you're a mortgage person or whatever, even if you're an employee in a company, whatever you do, if you don't have people in your organization that support you and come out and help you when you need help, you're in the wrong place. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'll never leave. Brandy, who was I me and Margaret were her mentor back when she first started. And I came to her last year and said, I need help. You're killing it. And I'm floundering a little and I need not even the year before. I no, it was last year. And I need help. So the student became the teacher kind of thing. And she was like, whatever you need, anything you need. And that's being in an organization like that makes a huge difference in somebody pulling themselves out of something like what I'm going through.
No, I appreciate you saying that, and I agree 100%. It's our favorite part of what we do at our companies. But I don't know if the listeners are picking up on all this. I'm seriously learning from you, Lori, because I'm really moved by the fact that you just told me I'm not going to quit. Like you didn't even hesitate. I totally misread that. You were like, nope. And then I'm also moved by the fact that you had the courage. Did you hear that? She asked the person that was her mentee to be her mentor, kind of. Like she
Mhm,
took down the mask and said, "Hey, I'm struggling a little bit with someone who's been in business way less than me, who doesn't know as much as I do. Would you please help me?" You guys catch that? That is an attitude and a spirit of teachability that I don't think Lori's always been defined by that, but she's super
mhm,
open to
mhm,
growth. I mean, all these things you're talking about are just, you're a very driven person, like a very
mhm,
opinionated person. You love what
mhm,
you love and you're going to go that direction. But to be open like that is probably why you're one of the reasons I think you're going to make the turn and you're going to be right back where you want to be. Because you're open to accountability, you're open to learning from
mhm.
people that might not know as much as you. So kudos to you for that. I'm proud of you for that. That's awesome.
And interestingly, I am not, you talked about coachable. I have not and probably will not ever hire a coach because not because I can't learn something, because I can learn something, but I want to do things on my terms. And and that's a flaw in my personality. It's absolutely a flaw. Um, I don't I don't want somebody telling me when I can turn the TV on or tell me how many calls I have to make. Or I'm not going to hire a coach because I that's just not me.
Right.
And I learned a while back that I don't have to be somebody else to be successful. I can be me and take me and form me into a successful model. I don't have to be the one that does what everybody else is doing because it may not work for me and it may not work for you. You do what works for you. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't do something else because society says this is the way you're going to be successful. If you're already successful, keep doing that.
Yeah, your terms are, though, it's not like you say you got to do it on your terms. It's not like those terms are negative. The terms are,
No.
I'm not going to quit. I'm going to live the life I want to live. I'm going to do
Hmm.
business, but I'm going to do business the way I choose
Hmm.
to do it. And I think all those are very admirable. I love that. And I think that
As long as
think,
they're positive. I mean, if
yes,
you're not getting anywhere with
yes.
that attitude, that's a different story.
Yes. And a TJ O'Brien, a good friend of ours, said to me, his key word always is be authentic.
Hmm.
If you try to do business, when you sit with a client, if you try to be anything other than who you are,
Hmm.
it's just not going to work. And if it does work, it's not really you, it's someone else. And it's not really
Hmm.
yours, it's someone else's. So I think what you've done is admirable. I appreciate you being willing to just like say, life events led me to here.
Hmm.
But I'm not staying here. And maybe we need to do a follow up in like 3 months. We need to get back together and let's just talk about what you're reading and how your diet's going and how your letter writing is going. And I see you're in the office. I noticed that. Like you haven't been
Hmm.
around the office that much. And now you are.
Yep.
I'm proud of you for that. I think that helps other people as much as it helps you, Lori. When I get on you about
Hmm.
where have you been, it's because other people need to be around how you are and what you say
Hmm.
and and what you do. These things that you've shared with us today are the things that need to be in the hallways of the office and in the front lobby. And
I miss that a lot. I miss that a lot. But that's another thing that COVID changed, you know. It made it very easy to work at home. And, you know, if it's cold and it's 25 degrees out and I got warm, fuzzy dogs, I'm much more comfortable sitting there with them and work in my office with the Price is Right playing on one screen while I'm working on the other screen. And that just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Too many distractions. And I'm very distractible. So that I've got to come to the office more, and I that's part of my commitment.
awesome. Well, I'm excited. Thank you for being here. We got 30 minutes goes like that whenever you and I are talking. We've been a little bit
I
longer
know.
than that, actually. I appreciate you being any parting words for us that you want to share as we log off today.
Just just be true to yourself. Don't beat yourself up about the things that you're not doing or that you stopped doing and want to start doing. Just take one piece at a time and do the things that you know you're capable of doing. Don't set yourself up for things that you think you aren't going to be a success at because you don't want to set yourself up for failure. Do the things that work for you and don't beat yourself up if you're not the same as everybody else.
I love that. You guys heard it. I hope Rise Up Nation heard that here first, loud and clear from my friend Lori White. Lori, thank you. Anybody want to find
Thank
her?
you.
She's all over social media. Her phone number's right out there for you to see. Reach out to her. She's great for a cup of coffee or lunch. You'll learn a lot. Lori, thank you, thank you, thank you for taking down the mask today. I appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you for having me.
Well, hey, that's a wrap, folks. Thank you so much for listening to Rise Up in Real Estate. If you liked hanging out with us today, please find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Rise Up in Real Estate. Also, follow us right now on your favorite podcast host to hear more episodes. We really appreciate you spending some of your time with us. And until next time, let's do each other a favor and all help each other rise up.